Love-inspired suspense and HarlequinAudio present Trail of Suspicion by Jennifer Pierce, performed by Moran. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose. Romans chapter 8, verse 28. To my readers, thank you for accompanying me on this journey. 1. Are you ready, Moose? Aurora James opened the back door of her SUV. Moose, her 75-pound bloodhound, barked his response as he jumped from the vehicle. His nose hit the ground and the sniffing immediately started. There was a distinct difference between a dog's breathing and sniffing. As a handler, Rory was able to determine when that change happened. Like now, a new trail filled with new scents. Rory would give him a moment to satisfy his curiosity before giving him the command to search. Moose was a highly trained and successful human remains detection, or HRD dog. Most people just called him a cadaver dog. While some of the scents around here were new to him, the scent pack she'd hidden off the trail was an old favorite. As morbid as it sounded, he was trained to follow the smell until he found the source. Once he did, he was rewarded. Getting the reward made him happy. He didn't realize what it meant. He just knew that he'd done his job. She watched him limp to the start of the path along which she'd chosen to hide the scent pack. Knowing him, he had picked up on the scent and was already on the hunt. "Moose, sit," she commanded. 10 feet ahead, Moose promptly dropped his bottom to the ground. "Good boy." Rory joined him at the head of the trail. Unease fell over her as much as she didn't want it to. The forest seemed unnaturally quiet this morning in a way that wasn't normal. She just couldn't put her finger on what gave her this note of disquiet. She studied the view in front of her. The dirt path disappeared among a variety of pine and oak trees. Rory took a deep breath and exhaled. "Suchen!" She gave the German command for track. Moose locked onto the scent and was off. Rory followed behind at a steady pace. He was free from the leash. Searching off-lead was good for him. A lot of their searches were done off-lead, proof that she had not influenced him in any way. They were in a secluded area, so he was not likely to get hit by a car. That didn't mean she didn't have her leash attached to her search bag should it be warranted. Despite the limp, Moose was a speedy guy. The limp was the only indication that he'd done major damage to his hip and leg in a search they'd conducted almost a year ago. An injury that had secured his early retirement. Rory had managed to win the fight so she could be allowed to keep him. Just because he was retired didn't mean she planned to let his training slide. He was much like her. He couldn't sit still any more than she could, and had been up and wanting to work once the cast was off. Actually, before that, but it had been easier to contain him when he'd had the cast. She'd been able to quell his need to search by hiding scent packs around the house and in the yard in Virginia, but that was before moving back to Arkansas. Now that she was back in Hollow Springs and staying with her father, Moose could search the woods around his cabin and along the trails. Rory could work with him and strategically ignore all the reasons she'd left in the first place. Reasons why she would never have returned if it wasn't for her father getting sick. These days, Moose was still capable of searching, but for shorter periods of time than what the job normally required. He was now a volunteer HRD dog. He could get the search started until a more agile canine was called in. At least, that's how she'd stated her case in order to convince the Knott County Sheriff's Department to hire her as a CSI technician and to allow Moose to become an employee. She'd maintained his certification the whole time for exactly this reason. It didn't hurt that canines were good for community relations. Everyone loved the police department dogs. Plus, they wouldn't have to foot the bill to purchase and train him. Years ago, she'd have prayed that the move would be good. A fresh start back in her hometown. A new job for both of them, the chance to spend more time with her father. She left her faith behind the night her mom had gone missing, and her father was blamed for it. To some, her mother's disappearance was simply a cold case file in a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?